Well, good evening, everyone, again, and thank you for being a part of Phase 2, Round 2 of the superintendent search and the fulfillment of that post that's being left vacant. So we appreciate having Mr. Tom Shelton, who is superintendent currently of Davis County Public Schools. I know you've had an awesome and exciting and perhaps grueling day, but if you want to tell us about the day you've had and the folks that you've met and why you want this job here in Fayette County.
Okay. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to each and every one of you all for being here. It's a wonderful opportunity to get to share and meet with more people. I especially want to acknowledge the fact that my wife's been able to join us and is here, sitting right up here near the front. My wife, Gwen, and next to her is her brother, Mark Armstrong, who lives here in Lexington. It's great to see them. I also see several of my good friends here in Lexington around the audience, so it's nice to have each and every person here. It's been a wonderful day so far, and started off very early with interviews at 6:30 this morning, and then a meeting with the community members and the board at 7 o'clock. And we've continued on from there. We did school visits, met with parents, students, teachers, principals, the cabinet, classified staff members, and at each group I've learned more and more about this community and the wonderful things that are going on here. As I've said to each group, one of the most exciting things to me is that Fayette County is just a community that obviously really supports and believes in education. As I look around and as I've met people and seen what's going on here, you've got a community of 300,000 people who really believe and support education, and that's very important. And I know that's what makes this the district that it is, and has allowed the district to make the progress that they have made. And so that is part of what interests me in this position. You know, I really truly believe the school system can be the best school system in the country, with the resources that are here in this community, with the leadership that's been here, and leadership that is still here, and then with all the support of the community, colleges and post-secondary, the community organizations, civic organizations, as well as business and industry. So I think this district has unlimited potential. I think everyone here has a lot to be proud of for the progress this district has made. It's amazing to me as I look at the progress that's been made over the last several years here, and you know, I think the Board of Education and Mr. Silverman and all the staff need to be commended for their hard work, as well as the community support that's gone into making sure that that happens. As you mentioned, I'm superintendent in Davis County currently. I succeeded Stu there 7 years ago, and so it really intrigues me with the possibility of maybe succeeding him here in Fayette County as well. I think this is an awesome community, and I believe in what Stu believes in. We have the same values and beliefs and focus. Although we're two very different people, we have a lot in common, and I really am proud of the fact that of what we've been able to accomplish in Davis County, under Stu's leadership and sense, and I feel very pulled and drawn to wanting to do that same thing here and have that same opportunity. And then as I mentioned, my brother-in-law and some of my other family members are here in the Lexington area. I have a daughter in college in this area, and another one is going to be in college in this area, and so there's also some family reasons I want to be here. But you know, the main thing is that Fayette County, again, is just a wonderful place for education, and that's been evidenced in Parenting Magazine and in other areas that's been recognized in this community, and it would just be an honor to be a part of that.
Part of your answer, you talked about community, and that's a perfect segue to the first question. The public school system is an integral part of the community, as you know, and it's essential that the school leadership work closely with local groups on issues that affect both students and the public good. Please elaborate on your commitment to working with local business, community, nonprofit, and faith leaders, and truly embracing the school system as part of the greater Lexington community.
Okay. I like to describe my leadership style as collaborative, and I try to accomplish that by bringing a multitude of different groups and all different constituencies together to allow them opportunities to share and provide input, so that we can reach consensus and find common ground to build on. This district and this whole community has done a wonderful job of that. And what I would want to do is take the structures that are in place and use those as a foundation to build upon. As I mentioned earlier, there's a huge support for public education here among the groups that you mentioned. That's been evidenced by the way this community supported and accepted the nickel tax that the board was able to pass to add on, and which that's been able to do that for your facilities. That's evidenced by the groups that have stepped to the plate and supported the work that's been done to reduce the achievement gaps. And that's certainly evident in just the overall student achievement and things that have happened here within this district. And so with my collaborative style, I would work first of all to learn the community, build relationships with those entities that you named, but then would want to engage each and every one of them in the opportunities to continue to move the district forward as it has been.
Parental involvement is an essential component to increased achievement for students. Does your current district have a family and community involvement policy? And if yes, would you briefly describe the role and responsibilities of both the school administrator and the parents in your policy? And if no, how do you ensure parental involvement?
The way we address parental involvement in my current district is through the fact that it is one of our 4 overarching goals that our board has established for the entire district, and it's an expectation that we will try to find every way we can to engage parents in the learning of their children and be involved in our schools. That takes on several different aspects that we have to make sure that we train our administrators on how they can use and work with parents. We bring parents in and do training, like we've had the Pritchard Committee come in and do some parental involvement training for parents in our district. It requires, certain projects and opportunities for parents to become involved in. We do a lot of parenting classes. We do a lot of public forums with our parents. We try to, make sure that they feel like that they're welcome in our schools, because first of all, they have to feel like that we want them to be part of the educational experience. And it goes more than just to supporting us in making sure their student does their homework. It goes down to, helping make sure that the goals of the school are met, and that the students and all the families understand and support what we need to get done. And so, it again comes down to collaboration. And we have a goal of continuous improvement and continuous involvement of parents in our district, and we've built policies and procedures around that. And so it's very much expected in my district, and I would certainly anticipate a very similar thing here.
Can you explain your experiencing in closing or narrowing the achievement gap?
The achievement gaps that we've had in Davis County are somewhat different than they've been here in Fayette County, but the first thing we have to remember always is that all students should have the opportunities to learn, and all students can achieve at high levels if we focus on that and put the right strategies and opportunities in place. And so with that being said, as you think about that, we think about what does it take to make sure that happens. The first thing I think that you have to have is the right relationships in place. That starts with the teacher and the way that the teacher interfaces with the students, but it becomes the whole culture of the school district is that everyone understands that positive, caring relationships for students builds the right culture for student achievement. Now, with that background, in our district, our gaps have been focused in the area of students with disabilities and students who are at risk in a poverty standpoint. And we have heavily focused on reading and math, of course, but I would like to highlight the work that we've done in literacy and reading. We recognize that we had a systemic problem at the district level that was not specific to only particular groups, but it was across the board. And so we first looked at the whole literacy plan and how it would be used and how it would be applied across the district at all levels and all content areas. And once we had a solid plan in place and a measurement tool in place, we then went to the specific group areas to see where the gaps were and how we would address them. and brought in appropriate professional development training for staff. We provided interventions for students where they were needed, and I'm very excited to say that we have had double-digit improvement in our reading gaps for all of our students over the last 4 years. And so it just has to be a continuous effort, has to be supported by the community, and it has to be something that's monitored and followed up on a consistent basis.
How do you plan to communicate the value of assessment and accountability, and how do you respond to questions about overemphasis on testing?
Well, I think, we have to realize, first of all, as educators, that we have to be accountable, and assessment is a necessary part of what we provide for students as a way of being accountable and of measuring our progress. And so the first thing we have to think about is that we should be accountable. We are dealing with students and we are dealing with public money, and so we should be accountable. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, every student has a right to achieve and achieve at high levels, and so we have to be able to measure that, and assessment is the means that we use to measure that. With those things, though, in the background and being said, the focus it should be on student achievement in the classroom, and that should be achieved with the focus being in and around quality instruction. We have to make sure our teachers have the resources and the tools that they need in order to ensure that students receive quality instruction every day in every classroom, so that ultimately whatever assessment we might be under becomes the outcome of that good quality instruction. We want every student to grow, we want every student to achieve, and we want every student to perform, and we have to make sure that the right strategies are in place to do that. Assessment is a means of measuring that, whether it's formative as a regular part of instruction, or whether it's used on an interim basis to measure progress, or whether it's summative from a reporting standpoint.
FCPS has been able to remain financially secure despite the economic woes of the state and the nation. What will you do to ensure that financial stability and security continues?
One of the skills that I think that I'm able to bring is the fact that I come from a non-traditional background, being a CPA and having my Master's in Business Administration. And so in addition to the excellent financial staff that they have here in the district, I think from a CEO or leadership perspective, I can support what has been going on from the board's leadership all the way through the staff to maintain that financial condition. I've been part of doing that for years. I train superintendents and school board members and other administrators in school finance and have a strong understanding of it. And part of that means being more efficient and effective in how we use our dollars as dollars are tighter. We've had to go through budget cuts, multiple budget cuts over several years. But we always do that maintaining what goes on in the classroom, so there's minimal impact on instruction, and trying to make sure that we maintain people in their jobs. And so we try to be very creative and very flexible in how we use money.